So I'm sitting here about to watch One Piece when I noticed jellyfish. And then I thought, whoa, inspiration, ding! Okay, let's go draw. Here, I'm starting with drawing gum because this painting is going to have many different layers and I'm going to be including gold foil. I applied the drawing gum with a paintbrush, and after letting it dry, that's when I started painting. I wanted this jellyfish painting to be a bit soft. I didn't want too many hard edges. So I started with a wet on wet technique where I first laid down a layer of water and started going over it with my paint. I used a light layer of blue, and I like to make layers and build up from there. I also laid out where the jellyfish main trunk, where the strands were going to be. For the longest time I wanted to do jellyfish. I don't know why. They're just such alien-like creatures. They're beautiful and majestic. And for that reason alone, I just wanted to paint it. So it wasn't until I saw that book cover that it gave me the inspiration to actually do this painting. I stuck to a very cool feeling with this painting. For some reason I didn't want anything too flashy, so I used blues and purples mainly. I also have a nice peachy pink for the clouds. I still wanted it a bit abstract. And I did throw some design elements, as you'll see later, with the gold foil and some white lines. I wanted the jellyfish to have a nice flow with that significant S-curve in it, because if it was just in a straight line, it'd be quite boring. I think flow is super important when it comes to art, and I have noticed that in a lot of my artwork, that's a big focus of mine. I really enjoy it when the artwork really moves in a specific direction. I don't know. I think it actually comes from my tattoo work, because obviously when you actually design a tattoo, you want it to go with the flow of the body. So I love when things mesh perfectly in harmony. With flow, it's just something that you can keep looking at. You can feel the vision that the artist had and the movement that that person is trying to create. As mentioned earlier, I like to build in layers. As you can see, I laid down the foundation with the light blue and the light purple. After letting it dry, I went back into it with the darker colors and the darker shades. I loaded my brush up with about medium water and then a little bit more darker color, but it was not the wet on wet technique. Instead, I just gingerly started painting in different shapes and shadows for those strands. If I wanted to be softer, I would just add a little bit more water and just plop it in there to the dark blue. This painting was quite the challenge for me, and it was fun because there's so many different layers and so many different things to think about. There was the drawing gum, and then I had to use masking tape, so I had to know which layer went first. I first worked on the jellyfish, of course, and then from there, I went to the next layers. For these strands, I used a watercolor brush. I found out I have a lot of control with the amount of ink with these types of brushes. For the background, I used my widest, flattest brush, and I also did a wet on wet technique, as you can see. I wanted it quite dark, so I mixed some navy blue with some black. Oh man, pulling this masking tape is always a little nerve-wracking. I'm always scared it's going to pull some of the paint off. To add a little bit more color to the jellyfish, I used a colored pencil to make the colors pop and saturate just a little bit more. In preparation for the gold foil, I added the glue. Before adding the glue, I mixed it with a little bit of red, just so I could see where the glue is going. I also used this really cool tool that I think is used for clay sculpting that I picked up at Michael's. I'm very new to gold foil, but I absolutely love the effects of it. If anyone has their own methods that they would like to share, please leave a comment down below. For the clouds, I did not use a wet on wet technique. Instead, I loaded the brush up with a lot of water and paint, but a light color, of course. I also used a paper towel to dab and suck away some of the ink so that it gives the effect of clouds and layers. For the heavier clouds, I used a purple. The purple gave it much more contrast to help the jellyfish pop. And lastly, just a few final touches. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Also, I hope you learned something. So, I'll see you next time.